All right, so we are moving to some step 3 stuff today. And here's the deal. If you made it this far, great. If you've made it and watched these videos and you're like, what is he talking about? Fantastic. Sounds good too. If you're watching these videos and you're like, dude, he's doing it wrong. Okay, do it your way. That's cool. What I'm here to tell you is the way that I have done it and have simplified things. Now, of course, listen, you can go way further in depth in any of this stuff that you would like to. And more power to you if that's what you choose to do. You want to go further in depth in it? Well, obviously there is more to that. I'm trying to make these videos short enough so we can understand on a base level and maybe think about things just a little bit different than we normally have. No matter where you go into one door, you're going to get a different story, another door, another. Like, that's understandable, right? I'm asking you to can we find some common ground and to simplify some of this so that it makes a little bit more sense, okay? You understand you're powerless. You understand that life has become unmanageable, and I continue to go over these, and we look at the principle of honesty and just how important that is in my life, and how that is the only principle that I cannot get wrong. If I decide to start being dishonest, not only with other people, but especially with myself, then things obviously go downhill pretty fast, right? Now I'm trying to pick up all the pieces in my life to make them coordinate, to make sense so that I can keep the story straight for everybody, you know? And it's such a facade, and I constantly am just getting further and further away from myself. I'm getting further and further away of being able to answer that question as to who is Jay or whoever you are, right? I'm internally so conflicted. Your addiction, your alcoholism, your behaviors might look different. Your story and your circumstances might look different. So what I'm asking you when you're watching these videos, I'm asking you not to pick out the differences. I'm asking you to maybe pay more attention to the similarities within this, my behaviors and how things look and how unmanageability starts to show up in my life. Yeah, you might not be doing dope or whatever it is with, like I said earlier, with Mary behind 7-Eleven. Okay, but what you are probably doing are lying and manipulating. You are probably causing your wife or your spouse or your relationships or the people, whoever it is, your father, whatever that is, you are probably causing suspicion and jealousy from your behaviors. It's probably taking you away from being the best self that you could possibly be. It's probably causing you to be less of an employee, or even if a terrible employer. You're probably missing things. You're definitely not wholesome. You're not showing up to Thanksgiving dinner with something to offer everyone, laughing and smiling and stuff. A lot of times it's like I had to come prepared to drink before I got there, how much alcohol is going to be here in the middle of it, and when can I sneak off to the truck or whatever that is. And if you have alcohol supplied because you're a family who loves alcohol like a lot of people do, then you're like, how do I get my hands on more of it without them noticing, okay? But at the end of the day, you go home and you're miserable. You wake up, you're an asshole to your spouse, right? You can't even, enjoy the time that you have with your children, and you're constantly starting to skip out on things because you have business or a call or a meeting or whatever it is, okay? So your life doesn't have to look like in a dumpster behind 7-Eleven. Understand. I got that. I get that. But I'm telling you right now, the internal feeling of helplessness and darkness that you're trying to escape, that you're trying to fix on your own because you think you're powerful enough to be able to do that on your own, and all of a sudden you keep getting busted back on your ass over and over again. Listen here, it's the same for the dude doing dope as it is for you who has your shit together in your office space, living in your nice, whatever 10,000, 6,000 square foot home with your family together, and at the same time they're wondering what's wrong with dad, what's wrong with mom, okay? Our circumstances, although might be different, and yeah, opioids and heroin, methamphetamine does present itself a little bit different from alcohol for sure, but I'm telling you, you're just as miserable, and your problem looks a lot like their problem. And if you don't start looking at the similarities within the stories around you, then you're no different than the most judgmental person walking on this planet. We talked about 2. It's about hope, okay? And I need you to be able to grab onto that. I need you to be able to find something, someone that you believe in has walked this path and has found some freedom. If you can attach yourself to that, it gives you the belief that if they can do it, then I can do it too. I'm coming to believe that someone else has made it this far. And if I can just believe in that, then later on, maybe I can believe that there is a power that is greater than their self, or than me, than someone else that has taken them from the ashes, that has taken them from a place of devastation. And all of a sudden I'm looking at this person's life and their family's back involved, and what dad calls they're answering the phone, and cousin's asking them, hey, my wedding's coming up in June. Would you be a part of that? And will you be there for Thanksgiving? And hey, my little nephew's got a birthday party. It's at 7 p.m. And I don't know, Mr. Gaddy's, will you be there? Bet your ass, right? And all of a sudden I'm taking a step back and I'm like, number one, it's like, I remember when that used to be something that was attractive, where then all of a sudden it became to like a chore. Like, I don't want to do that shit anyway, right? I started to give myself and put delusions in my head. Like I'm glad I don't get to go anyway. Well, that's bullshit, because the truth of the matter is that the people that you have that close in your circle that you get to share yourself with will become some of the most important moments and places in your life to be able to have those type of relationships. We just don't know, okay? I said we have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? We got to get out of the comfort zone for sure. And sometimes inside of fear, it's not that it's just so uncomfortable. It's more so that it's just unfamiliar for us, okay? We talk about looking at our value systems and going back to that as like men. I don't know, I can't speak for the women's side too much, but to know that like men don't cry. We pick ourselves up by the bootstrap. When things go wrong, we just, we figure it out and toughen up and go through the mud and kind of press forward. Well, guess what? You're inside of a disease in a system that doesn't work like that. You're inside something that is going to take you some digging. It's going to take you some internal investigation. It's going to require a little bit of emotion, okay? I get it. Listen, been a part of it all. My granddad would rather shake your hand any day than give you a hug. I understand that. Emotions wasn't something very strong in my family. Luckily, I had the other side of it on like the mom side where it meant a lot, okay? I'm an emotional person. Like today, I can literally cry thinking about having a moment of gratitude. And not only for myself, but for someone else. I know what that feeling is like to be driving in my car and whatever sparks this like perfect moment caused me to like think and sit totally within gratitude, whether I'm looking up at the sky or a badass song comes on that hits my emotions or whatever it is. And I just have that moment of like, thank you, God. Like, thank you for getting me to this point right here where I feel in this exact moment. And I want everyone to be able to experience those things. I need some hope. I need someone to light a fire underneath my ass. I need to attach myself to that and to keep moving forward in it. I need to stop being this little sad Sally who sits on the couch and stays absolutely miserable and looks at this world as it's just so dark and the politics are this and I can't believe the people on the right are doing this or the people over to the left. Can you believe that? So if you get sucked into that crap, you participated in that all that you want to. Like I mentioned it before, if you want to be around negative people and you want to stay negative, don't be surprised when your life constantly just turns out to be negative, okay? You got to find a different group. You got to find a different set of friends and some light. You need to be around some positive people. And if you're probably watching this, you're probably like, look at that douchebag talking about all this positive shit, and you're just constantly shitting on people all the time. You go into this group, I'm a chameleon over here, and I talk shit about these people over here. I come over here and like, oh my God, can you believe what they're doing over here? But how about you quit that shit? How about you get back into your own lane, into your own zone? How about you start preaching some damn positivity into people's life? And how about you start cheering for this person over here when it has nothing to do with the outcome of you and there's no transaction involved within that? How about we get excited for other people in life and let's be like good stewards to each other and good friends for once. And not just the friends that when it becomes like common for us to just to co-sign other people's crap or to talk shit over here or to constantly be pointing out their character defects. How about we start to lift each other up and to give each other some hope? Because if you're not portraying hope to other people and it's constantly infectious, then hope is dead and we won't be able to help other people move forward. And you won't get to be another person's step two and you won't get to see hope in another person's eyes and you damn sure won't start to feel gratitude when someone else has an unbelievable moment in your life, but we have to have some hope. Step 3 is faith, and this is where it blows everyone's minds, right? You get into some step 3 stuff and people turn away really quick because the principle that's associated with step 3 is faith. There's not a lot of good that comes from that in this environment in terms of community, because when people start to think faith, again, they attach themselves to God and they think my experience with a God that everyone else is talking about here is not very good. And I hear people, when we talk about this in group settings, it's like, yeah, I grew up in this church, or yeah, I came Methodist and I had to wear the clothes and I lit the candle at the end of the aisle and I took communion and I dipped the bread in the grape juice or whatever it is. And my experience ended up being gone, or maybe you were molested and you're thinking in your head, what kind of God would allow that to happen? Maybe you lost a loved one to some terrible accident. Maybe it was suicide. Maybe you've been through some domestic problems in your life and you're wondering what kind of God would allow that to happen. Maybe you saw a serious disease or an illness hit someone in their life and you're wondering, why would God take that person at such a young age? Why would they remove that person from such a positive situation in someone's life? And I get that. And it causes us to have these restrictions in our mind when it comes to God. So guess what? Again, I'm not going to ask you to define God by any means. I'm not saying at this moment, I need you to get on your knees and you need to be able to figure out what God is. I'm not saying that you have to go down to the church and you have to get in the water or the tub or whatever it is and confess or profess your name or whatever the hell they're talking about to be saved in this situation. That's not it. We're early in this process. If you end up doing that and that is your path, hell yeah, that is awesome. Good for you. If you don't and you take on a different route, say it looks more like spirituality, good for you. Whatever works in that system, as long as it's not you, as long as it ain't me in my process, to me thinking that I am the greatest all be all, because I've been there. And at times it still looks like that, right? Listen to me. I'm here to tell you this. Grace is for everybody. You can't win it. You can't earn it. It's not something that's deserved. It's already been bought and paid for in my book. You just get to and have to step into it, right? You have to accept it. So step 3 is saying I made a decision to turn the will of my life over to the care of God as I understand him. And here, if you're me, I couldn't get that. I couldn't understand what this God thing is. What are you talking about? Again, I'm barely sober. I'm getting thrown the book at me. I'm trying to figure out what this whole God thing is to anybody. And I'm stuck. And so I had to look at it. Let's look at decision for a second. Made a decision. Could I change that possibly to making a commitment to not only myself, but to others, but more importantly, yes, myself, to carry on through this process and to complete the steps, because we're super early on in this, okay? Faith is wild, right? We used to have faith in what the alcohol would do for us. We've had faith in whether the drug dude was going to show up, what the drugs would do for us for sure. Faith is easy when I can peer around the corner, right? It's easy when I'm, like I said earlier, attach myself to hope. And let's say that I've seen somebody walk in this faith because I know if they follow this path, this is happening to their lives. So yeah, okay, I can believe in that a little bit and I can peek around the corner. But there's a lot of things in life that'll come your way when faith is like this, right? I can't peer around the corner anymore. And I have to be able to truly step out into that. And I have many stories of how that happened, but I'm here to tell you that you will eventually find a God that is of your liking, that makes sense to you. And if you want to know mine, you're more than welcome to ask. I just don't sit here and say it has to be this one thing. And I'm going to what you can think what you want of me from that, but I've found my path and with that. But I tell you, if you were to ask me, I'd probably surprise you by what it is. I'm just not going to stand on the table here because right now, a lot of us that are watching this are really struggling to try to figure out how to quit using drugs and alcohol. I didn't come into this room or this place to find God, right? I came because I have a terrible habit that I can't quit. And I can't quit disappointing my family. And I can't quit stealing from them. I can't quit lying and being deceitful and manipulative and becoming a shell of myself to a person that they don't understand. And so we have to be very, very careful and tread lightly in that section. That can come later. It's a true third step decision is something that possibly happens every day. I choose every single day, right, to be able to ask whatever it is to give me some awareness, to have some hope into my life and to look at other people and hopefully be able to see a situation and treat it with compassion and kindness, because I've always led with possible arrogance and something that has to be definite and it's my way or the damn highway, right? I get that. And I'm not asking you again to look at this step as something that to get so caught up in. I don't need you to look on a wall and say, okay, it's got to be this, okay? I will challenge you to do something though. I will challenge you to create a T-chart. On the left side of that, you can put all of your prejudice of a higher power or God that you want. That can look like hypocrite, ungrace, but not full of grace, only for a certain few, big, mighty, scary, powerful, or whatever. And I challenge you to go on the other side of that. And I say, okay, if you could create something that you could believe in, you can take the word God out if you want, and give me some attributes of what that would look like. And I bet you can come up with them pretty quick, right? You'd be like, oh, okay, if I could create this, I want it to be full of grace. I want this to be compassionate. I want this to be kind, loving, respectful, loyal, and just go down the list. Well, the challenge in that is to fold that piece of paper, forget about your prejudice that you had on the left side, look at these attributes that you want in something spiritual on the right. And if I put things like compassionate, if I put things like kind and loyal, then the best thing that I knew how to do that could give me something to look at right now, something I could truly work on, not a hope, not a prayer, not a meditation, nothing like that in the moment. It was to be like, okay, well, if I want that, then don't you think I should be trying my best to portray these things, to implement these things into my life? If I want kindness for something that's greater than me, then I need to be kind, right? If I want compassion, then I need to lead with compassion. I need to lead with grace. I need to be so less judgmental and be free of those things. I need to put myself in alignment to try my best. And the fact is you're going to fail. You are going to fail way more in this than you're going to succeed in the beginning of it. But I hope that it becomes something that it's in an eternal failure, right? To where you see it as an opportunity to grow. I hope that we have stopped talking so much about the drugs and the alcohol after step one, that we're starting to look at ourselves in an internal way, because that's what this is. It's an internal investigation for us to find freedom into the future, for us to be better people, for us to be good stewards to others and to supply hope to people, right? To be loving and to be kind and to be these things that we want on this right side, and to quit being so dark and gloomy and looking at the world like it owes us something in some format. But I'm here to say that I don't think you have to figure out what God is today. I don't. I think if anyone was able to figure out that question, then it would kind of like, it would go against the point of what all of that is. If I had all the answers, if I knew every single thing about this, then what makes it so powerful? What makes it such a mystery? You know, one problem that I've noticed that we have is trying to answer this question as to why all the time. Why me? Why does it have to be this way? Why can't I just be normal? I have to stop trying to answer that question of why. I'm never going to figure that out. It's greater than me. That question alone is greater than me. I have chased this why for so long, and it's only led me back to the same thing over and over and over again. So let's look at step 3. Let's be simple in it. Let's say that, okay, I don't have to turn the wheel of my life over today, okay? But I'm going to give my best effort moving forward. And I'm going to make a decision, like it says, or a commitment. From this point moving forward, I'm going to give my best effort into this step work. I'm going to turn a leaf in the way that hopefully I see other people and ask for accountability from my friendship groups that, hey, when you see me being such a negative Nancy, will you please give me accountability and say, hey, Jay, you're being negative. Thank you. Can I then respond in the right way? Because I need to change. My thinking has to change. It says I need a total psychic change, and that comes within my behaviors. I have to stop walking in a room and looking for ways for my ego to survive, because I'm good at that, right? Normally I walk in a room and I'll scan absolutely everyone in there and be like, okay, dude's got a nose piercing, loser, right? I'll go over here. I don't know what she's got going on with her this whole makeup and situation, loser. And I just go through the whole entire list so that my ego can finally survive. And I need my ego to survive so that I can feel like I have some sort of power. Within that is no compassion. Within that is only believing within myself. There is no discipline, and there is no connection to anything other than me. And how can I survive in this moment? There is no decision. There is no commitment. So I need to commit to changing my life. I need to commit to this work. I need to commit to knowing that what's coming up next is a very, very thorough, intensive operation of doing the work through my resentments and my fears and my relationships, to look at how I've shown up, for me to build a case against these things and to get some perspective and some truth. The only difference in that is like, can I accept that? And can I be different in that? Can I step into willingness? Can I step into humility? And those things are what we have coming up. But for today, it's making a commitment. It's making a decision to be the best that I can be moving forward, knowing that I'm going to fall on my ass but I'm going to surround myself with good people to take direction from those people who have made it a little further than me, that can continue to instill hope into my life so that I can become something beautiful and new. And like I said, I'm going to wake up probably that next day, and the first words that come out of my mouth are probably going to be selfish in some form or fashion. It's not going to be the alarm going off and me cheering up and be like, can't wait to go tackle this day. Let's go see what kind of hope we can pump into the world. I highly doubt it. I bet it's going to be like, ugh, God damn. You know what I mean? Like, what in the hell? Another day, got to wake up and do this. But I've made a commitment, and I create some disciplines in my life that I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do this. And my next step is to do this. And I'm going to get out of myself, and I might start praying for others, or I might call a friend. And I know that I got a 4-step that I'm working on, and I'm going to intentionally knock out this many of those. I'm going to make a commitment and a decision to myself today that I want to be less of a shell of myself. I want to be more of a human being. And my commitment that I don't know what God may be, and I don't know what he might have in store for my life. And I understand that grace is something that has been bought and paid for, and I can't earn it. But I'm going to do my very best to do my part to be a better person. And if that looks like waking up the next day and doing something a little bit different, or going out of character, or having new total experiences, it's just like total, it's like exposure therapy to everything, because I'm going against the grain for what I've been doing to myself for so long. My decision and my commitment is to me being fully immersed, to me having the belief, from having the hope from other people that this can work for me too. And I'm going to keep chopping wood and carrying water, and chopping wood and carrying water until something looks a little bit different in my life. And yeah, it's going to suck, and yeah, it's going to be a trudge. But you're worth it, and I'm worth it, and I know that it's worked for others, so it can work for me too. So my decision tomorrow is to get up and be the best, and to do the best that I can, and to understand that I can no longer on my own carry this weight, that there is something that wants to take this weight from me. I can't keep taking the weight, dropping it, going down the road, picking it back up, and keep bearing all the stuff. I can't keep crawling before others. I can't keep wearing the shame that's been on me. It's been so heavy. I know I've made mistakes, and I know I've lied, and I know I've manipulated people, and I know I've been a terrible son and a terrible brother and a terrible spouse, or whatever that may look like, a cousin. I've been a terrible person. My behaviors are inexcusable, but I do not want to be that way anymore. And I'm not going to allow other people to constantly look at me and to label me for what they think that I am, because I believe now, and I've made a decision from doing this for so long, that there is something so much more powerful out there that wants to take the weight of the world that feels like it's on my shoulders and take it away from me and walk the other way for me to keep walking this way. And I have to understand truly that it is a surrender piece in step 3. And I'm not surrendering to drop off and walk away. It's more about me surrendering to drop off and turn into something, because I want to go head on, and I trust that there is something out there that wants to fill me full of love, grace, and understanding. But I have to accept that. And when I can believe in that, when I can totally be immersed in that through this entire process, I know that I am not alone. I know that this world is so much bigger than me. And I know that we are full of people that want to help and to love on you and to carry you through this path. You can do it. You got to keep marching. If you're watching these videos, step 1, step 2, step 3, they're in here. And we'll talk about some step 4 and some principle of courage on the other side of it. Keep pushing.